And we're live.
Hi guys, today we're doing the Biscoff Rice Crispy Treats. So it's very simple, something you can do with your kids, but very delicious. So the ingredients you need to make sure and have on hand are all listed here. MJ, if you can turn it onto that. MJ is visiting us again today for be our camera woman. We're going to have 5 cups of puffed rice cereal. Or Rice Krispie Treats, but whatever you get that's puffed rice, it doesn't matter. So I have 5 cups. I measure these into the bowl that I'm going to stir in, just out of convenience. So there's 5 cups in here. You're gonna want 1 cup of the Lotus Biscoff cookies. This is what they look like. Here is what they look like. I used about 10 of them when I did it, so I just kind of counted as I got up to 1 cup. And I don't cut these as small as the Rice Krispie Treats. I cut them rather large because I want that crunch in there. I want a bigger piece and I want a different texture, and I don't want everything to be uniform inside of the Rice Krispie. It adds a complexity to it. So I have those. The next are the chocolate chips. Actually, today I did a little bit different. You could put anything in this. If I had the salted caramel chips that, I can't think if it's Hershey or Nestle that makes them. I think it's Nestle, but they have a salted caramel chip and it's amazing. It's delicious. I just can't get it here in Abu Dhabi. So if you can get that, I would add those to it. Today I had the Heath toffee bars. I just have 1 cup and some chocolate with it. So I mixed it both. So it just equals to 1 cup. And we're gonna discuss, and you guys can vote on this, and I haven't decided yet whether these are gonna go inside of the Rice Krispie treat or if I'm gonna put it on top. So let me know what you think. Normally I would just put it inside, except the Lotus cookies are gonna be in there and it adds already a crunch. So I'm trying to decide. I might like it on top to add a little complexity again, layering for the flavor.
Cheryl Jackson, what do you mean by turn the camera the other way?
Sorry?
She wrote turn the camera the other way.
Oh, is it? Oh, to go up and down? It can't because of the way what she's using for the to do it on only does it in one direction. So now, is it showing up? If you turn your phone the other way, your screen, it should work to do it. Let us know if anyone else is having issues with that. Let us know too, because if that's an all-around issue, then for sure we want to look at that. But the way that the camera is held inside of the stand holder, it only goes portrait. Landscape. Thanks. So, anyways, so we have the Biscoff, we have the chocolate chips. Those are optional too. You don't have to put anything in them. I just like a little bit of layering of flavors and complexity. And then we go on to what comes into here. So we're gonna have 5 cups of mini marshmallows, or 12 ounces. The reason that I measure out in ounces the marshmallows is because when I travel to Abu Dhabi with my marshmallows, because the bag compresses and then doesn't with the air change and the pressure change, my marshmallows become sticky and they coagulate together. So I use those for baking. If I were just to go out to the store in the States and just buy a bag of marshmallows that were all fluffy and separate, I could measure out 5 cups easily, but I have learned to just do them by weight. So mine are sticky, but yours probably are lovely from the store. So you're gonna do 5 cups or 12 ounces. You're gonna have 2 ounces or 4 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna add in a 1/2 cup of the Lotus Biscoff spread. That looks like this, only probably smaller jars, but my husband found this and was super excited. So we're gonna have the Lotus Biscoff spread. And then 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Sometimes I also use, today I'm gonna use the vanilla extract. I have on the recipe, and you can use, I'm not sure where it's at, I'll get it out later. Bailey's does a salted caramel Bailey's, and it is delicious in this also. And so sometimes I put in 1.5 tablespoons of that. Not doing that today because I have the Heath bars, and that gives a lot of caramel flavor, and I don't want that to overwhelm my Lotus flavor. So I go back and forth. You can use whatever flavoring in that realm that you want to. Vanilla is delicious for it, so that's kind of the basic one. But if you have the caramel one, definitely try it sometime. It adds great flavors for it. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started. And this is gonna go pretty fast. I've got my, oh, if you have an apron that has pockets, that's the best thing. I love aprons with pockets because I don't need this today, but I can keep my thermometer in there. So I'm not running around. I can keep my spoon in there. I can even put a whisk in there. All pockets are great. I love pockets on my aprons. I'm very sad when I'm like, oh, I love this apron. It's so pretty. And there's no pockets for my things. If I want to put my whatever you want to put in there, you can shove it. So I highly recommend that. We're going to start. Use a heavy bottom saucepan. Anytime you make a candy, you want to use a saucepan that has a heavy bottom on it. I'm using my Calfon pan. I love it. That's just mine. They work great. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add the butter to the pan. And we're going to melt it. And that's going to take a minute. So any questions you have? Cheryl, is the camera better? Has she said anything else on there?
She just did a okay sign.
Great. Okay. Making sure. So what you're going to do, I kind of push my butter to the bottom, is you're just going to melt this. And what you're doing is when you're melting it, the heat is going to activate kind of and get the molecules inside your sugar of your marshmallows moving. So even though the marshmallows seem pretty solid and they seem pretty, tight, as they heat up, they're going to separate. Yes.
So, John Red said, Happy Mother's Day. You look so fancy.
Thank you, Jessica.
Also, she missed the marshmallow discussion. Are your marshmallows from the U.S.?
Okay, yes. So that's a whole nother discussion I was going to bring up. Thank you, Jessica. These, I had said earlier, the reason my marshmallows are tight and sticky is because I brought them from the U.S. I did. The reason I do that is because the marshmallows here in Abu Dhabi, and this will be a lesson for all those living overseas, who don't live overseas actually, they're not made with the same gelatin that the ones in the US are. They use a fish gelatin. There is animal gelatin used over here, but the marshmallows, whatever gelatin they use for it, if you look on the bag it will say, and most of them that I've found say that they're made with fish gelatin, they don't taste fishy, they taste fine, but their texture is different. And in marshmallow, a big part of it, what causes I'll do a lesson sometime on marshmallows. How about I make marshmallows sometime? I might even do that this week instead of one of the Rice Krispie days, in case you want to do them. But marshmallows are gelatin that you put in with sugar, like a simple syrup sugar, and then you spin it and you get the strands, and that's what gives it its texture, its fluffiness. It reminds me of a when it's done, when it's not solid, when it's in liquid form, when you're spinning it and it grows up, it looks like a meringue, but it's not a meringue because there's no egg whites in it. So you're whipping it up and it gets a fullness to it. Oh, and be patient with this. I put it on a medium heat. Don't cook it too high or the bottom will burn. You just want to make sure and kind of stir it until they start to melt. The butter will melt first, and then it'll help melt the rest of it. Anyways, back to the marshmallows. So then you put them out and you let them air dry, and they solidify, but they're really soft. The problem with the fish gelatin that they use here is that it does not melt the same way that our marshmallows in the U.S. melt. So, that being said, I have made Rice Krispie treats with them. It's very difficult. They don't melt. They don't get that lovely softness. You're starting to see here if Madison comes in on it with the cameras.
1 second.
She's really good because she's going to have a camera per hand. They're starting to melt a little bit. You'll see kind of the gooiness, and I'm just going to keep kind of stirring them. This is actually a candy that we are making. That's what Rice Krispies, because it's got the sugar and you're heating it up and you're melting it, so you're actually making a candy that's going to coat your cereal from there. Okay, you can back up now. We're going to add in now our Lotus Biscoff. Now, one thing I've done with this, when I measure it out, ooh, almost lost it. See how it comes out nicely? If I can get it out nicely, it's actually so slippery. It's because I've sprayed the inside there with some cooking spray. So I do that whenever I measure out my peanut butter or anything of that same consistency. I go ahead and put the cooking spray in the measure. I'm going to turn this down just a bit because it's cooking my Lotus Biscoff a little bit at a high heat, but I don't want it to. Madison, you can show them this.
Okay.
So it's starting to get soft. It's melting, it's starting to mix together. And pretty soon here we're gonna have an ooey gooiness. Oop, look at that. I'm gonna get those last bits of marshmallows melted and be happy. So happy. Usually, I said this before, that we have a lot of music usually going on during our cooking time, so it's kind of weird for me to have it so quiet in here. We're usually singing and dancing in the kitchen as we're doing our things. Right, MJ?
Yeah.
So this is almost melted. I've got to get it mixed together a little bit better. Any other questions about the marshmallows, Jessica? I know that's frustrating. So, like I said, you can make it, and maybe I'll use the local marshmallows for one this week so you can kind of see the difference. A couple things I would do with those. You might want to put a little bit of water in, or actually no, I would do cream. Put a little bit of cream in when you're melting your marshmallows for that. And yeah, this is almost ready. So that it gives it a nice consistency.
JawRed424 says, don't let us hold you back. Sing, ladies.
Well, Madison is always singing. I don't know if she'll sing for us today. She's looking at me like, don't you dare, Mom. But she just did a song for her, just a minute, just go ahead and keep on here.
Okay.
Go ahead and tell them about your song you did, Madison.
I did a song from Frozen the Musical called Monster.
For what?
For a talent show for my school.
Yeah.
Even homeschoolers have talent shows.
Yes, they do. Okay.
That's our beautifulness.
Okay, so it's all yummy there. I'm going to add in now my vanilla. If you live in Abu Dhabi, you cannot, you will not find vanilla here. Vanilla extract. You can get vanilla beans, but you won't find vanilla extract in Abu Dhabi. So, I make my own. This is my curing
One sec, let me
barrel.
show that. The curing barrel.
Okay, that's going to be good. All right, so when it's all melted and stuck together, we're going to, and you want to do this quickly, we're going to add in our Biscoff. Did we decide? I think we'll top it with the chocolate chips. Or do you think they should go inside? What do you guys think? Inside or top later? Thoughts? I'm going to pour this in quickly so that it starts to... Ooh. Stirring it now. I think I'll top it with them because we didn't add it in there. Now, a couple things with adding chocolate in. I actually do usually add it in after a little bit, because if you add it in now, it will melt and it'll be chocolate covered, and I don't want that. I want this caramel covered. When you're doing this, you want to fold it. If you stir it, one, it's harder for it to grab hold of the thing. Look at that, it's becoming all tight and yummy now. And you don't want to crush your lovely things. Now, I would add the chocolate right now if I was going to, but I think I'm going to pour it on top. I didn't see the votes. Was there any
There
votes?
were no votes.
Okay, then I get to decide. You guys aren't going to share. There we go. So look at that. It's become this solid ball of deliciousness. And right now, it's ooey gooey. Like if I pull it, look at that. Woo, you can see all those lines. So now I want to put it into the pan as quickly as possible so that it forms, because otherwise it'll form to a big ball here.
And to
I
make
have a pan already prepared. I've just sprayed it with my spray. And I'm going to use the cooking spray one more time, and I'll show you why. Right now we have this, and you're going to want to press down, but it's hot. Take my ring, hold on. So I'm actually going to spray my hand with cooking spray.
Here, Mom, hand me your ring.
The hotness doesn't stick to my hands. See, look, nothing, no gooey. So it's warm and hot, but it's not going to bother me, and I can press them down. See that? I've just pressed it right down with my hands. It is warm, What I was more concerned about was the candy, the sauce sticking to my hand because it would actually stick on. And candy, if it gets stuck to your finger, it has the heat for a while and it will transfer immediately to the skin and it will burn. So instead, I spray it with a coating and do such so that I can just touch it to the degree I can. This. Now, we're gonna immediately wanna sprinkle on our chocolate and or whatever topping you decided to do. I did toffee chocolate. I'm gonna sprinkle it on. Now, you see how it's kind of just sitting there? The heat sometimes will melt the chocolate from this here, and you wait a while, and you think, okay, hopefully it will melt, otherwise you're gonna have these chocolate bits all over. I've seen where people go ahead and say, well, just throw this in, like turn your oven on to 350 and throw it in. The problem with that is that you just want the heat to get to the top. You do not want to heat up your candy anymore because you do not want your Rice Krispies to go soggy. And that's what will happen. If you put it in an oven that's fully warm to melt your chocolate, the Rice Krispies will get a weird texture to them. You'll bite into them and they'll almost be stale. They'll have a little bit of chewiness to them. And the best thing about this is the yummy gooiness and the crunchy inside, so you don't want that to happen. So what I do instead, oh, left that on, is I turn on the broiler setting, which on my oven is this right here. And it has the little line on the very top, which means broiler. And it doesn't matter here really what I'm gonna turn it into, because it's just gonna have heat come from the top, and I'm gonna do it immediately, because I don't want the oven to be hot when I put this in. And I'm just gonna put it in for a few minutes. And that way, as it's heating up, the first heat's gonna come to the top, and those are gonna melt within probably less than a minute or two. It's gonna happen really fast. And so, whew, I'm gonna eat this right now, because I know, Madison, did I betray you? You should see her face right now. She's like, oh!
I want some.
Those are so good. So, you can play around with that, like I said, with the flavorings. This is a really fast one. This is so fun for the kids to make. I was thinking of Rice Krispie treats because my kids have 11 days left of school. I'm so excited. I homeschool anyway, so for me, this is not a big deal. Like the whole staying home. But end of the school year is a big deal because it's as much of a break for me as it is for the kids. So it's like I get some time off to actually do more things. So I'm going to do more videos like this is what I'm planning on doing. Also, hopefully I get to go pick up my elder. We're still crossing our fingers and praying that we will get flights either from the U.S. to here or from here to the U.S. going so that we can go see him. So June 30th is his release date, and we are so excited and just praying we get to see him. But yeah, so I was thinking about the end of school and treats, and I actually am not a big fan of like just the Marshmallow Rice Krispie treats. A lot of people love them. They just aren't my thing. They don't taste like much, and I'm just not a fan. But I have, through the years, done other things to them. And sorry, I have to check this while we're chatting. I'm not trying to be rude. There we go. So come look and see here. This means it's starting to get warmed up enough. Once it starts melting just a bit more, I think we only need a few more minutes. Not even that long. This is ready. We want to take it out because, again, you do not want to cook the Rice Krispie treats underneath. You just want to get enough heat that the chocolate chips start melting, and then the heat will transfer to each other. And there's still heat coming from the Rice Krispies. And if yours start melting when you put them on top, which mine do, like I said, about 50% of the time, the heat from the Rice Krispie treats will get. Now this one, because it's got toffee bits in it, is going to look a little bit gravelly. So it won't be the smooth chocolate. If I hadn't put the toffee bits in it, it would be a really smooth top to it. But I think the toffee bits with the Lotus Biscoff cookie are going to be fantastic. And now the hard part is to set these over here and keep the kids away from them, really myself and my husband, until they cool enough to be cut into, which really, I usually leave them for about an hour just sitting here, but really you could do it after probably 10-15 minutes. So that's why I started thinking about what treats I wanted to make, and I was thinking of the end of school year, and I wanted something fast so I could do lots of things. And these, as you can see, are really fast. They come together fast, but the flavor is remarkable. They are delicious. I know some of you have tried them before because I posted the recipe about 5 weeks ago. I've changed it a little bit since then because that was when I made it up, was when I first posted it. And there were a few tweaks that I wanted to it, so I've tweaked it a bit. I may continue to tweak it, so if you see it posted again, it might change again. We'll see. Sometimes that happens. And you know, that's just me experimenting and having fun in the kitchen. But that's our Rice Krispie treats there. Let me cut into them. I'll show you what they look like. But
Let's take a close up.
Madison just wants to get close enough to eat one.
Nom nom nom.
All right, so this is still wet on top. So when this gets solid, your chocolate, and I'll post a picture later of what they look like, will be a hard chocolate there. But watch that. Can you see that ooey gooey? Look at that pulling there. Yum. And look at this. If I just goo it out. Yum. I know Madison's dying for that piece. I'm going to feed her. You can't see her. She's like happy as can be. So that's what you get, that ooey gooey pull. When they're cooled down, they will not have quite the pull, but they should have a little bit. If they're solid where they're like cardboard when you cut them, you might need to add a little bit more butter or use a little bit less Rice Krispies. Let me show you how I measure my Rice Krispies. Because, they're so good.
She says, looks delish.
They're so good. Hold on a minute. When I measure my Rice Krispies, I'll show them my whole dirty kitchen. We have like the one clean corner, and then we have the dishes over here. Stop it. Madison's got jokes.
Well, you pointed to it.
I know. Those are really good. I sure love this stuff. If you've never had these cookies, they're a caramel type flavored cookie. They've got like a brown buttered flavor to them. They are so good. But I personally, by themselves, I'm not a fan because I don't like dry hard cookies much. But the flavor is really good. So my next thing I'm going to do with this, we only have, so this whole thing we had bought. I don't know if we told you the story about it. We bought it. And then I went to make these. I was excited about making, that's when I thought, oh, I'll make Lotus Rice Krispie treats. And we opened it up so excited, and there was a covering here, and we go to pull it back, and it's not sealed, and there's a finger swipe taken out of it. And so what had happened is somebody at the store apparently had opened it up, taken a finger swipe, and then closed it back up and put it on the shelf. So during the whole Corona thing with the masks on and all, we had to take this back to the store and get a replacement one, because I wasn't eating that. All right, but this, it makes delicious things. I'm gonna make some, I only have this much left. Of course, I can always go back and buy one, but I'm gonna make an ice cream out of this with probably some chocolate in it. Madison just made a sad face. She doesn't like chocolate, except sometimes. This doesn't make sense. Okay, so when you measure your Rice Krispies, a lot of people do this, or they shake it, right? And it looks level, but how it's measured when the recipe is written is actually the same way flour is. So for every cup, you could be getting as much as that much extra. I'll hold it up.
Yeah, that's too high.
Okay, sorry.
There.
So that much extra. And this is really what a cup of Rice Krispies are. So if your Rice Krispie treats are coming out dry and kind of cardboardish and stuff, really they should have that moistness of the marshmallow sauce or the candy sauce. One of them I make this week we don't use marshmallows for. But if they don't have that, then it might be your measuring of the Rice Krispies. So make sure that you're using a knife to level them off, because that adds up to quite a bit when you're doing 5 or 6 cups. Madison, Jamie, I see your fingers. Wait. There it is. Anyone have questions about anything in the process? I know it went fast, because that's the lovely thing about Rice Krispie treats is they can go fast. I'm looking for my snap. There we go. My snap for my Snap Crackle Pops. It's really fast. It's really easy. And it's delicious. If any of you are looking for vanilla in Abu Dhabi, I can do a whole other thing about how to make vanilla, but there's a lot of resources online on how to do it. So I know that that's a big hindrance here. You can also use vanilla essence. It's okay. There's other ones, but really vanilla extract is the way to go for flavoring your baked goods. It's delicious and it's easy to make and it's easy to do. So that is our Rice Krispie treats for today. I'm gonna wait for these to get all solid and for the chocolate to harden, and now I have to go back to my 4 sourdough breads I've got going. I'll post some pictures of that later. Thanks guys for visiting. If you have questions, send them in. I'm happy to answer, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.